Welcome back to Quick Bits. There's a lot on the docket today. The Kohberger trial got moved. Harvey Weinstein got indicted again. Tom Girardi might be facing a win in court. Karen Reed appeals just like she said she would. And Justin Timberlake pled guilty and made a really awkward PSA about it. So let's get into it. I'm legal analyst Emily D. Baker. This is the Quick Bits, where I break down just the main points of the pop culture and entertainment cases I'm currently covering on YouTube and the Emily Show podcast. Let's get into it. First, to all of you that have been enjoying the Quick Bits episode, both on YouTube and on your favorite audio platform, I am so glad. We are going to be bringing you more Quick Bits because, well, sometimes life gets busy and there's a lot going on in the law. So the Quick Bits clips are going to be up on the audio, just like they're up on the Quick Bits YouTube channel. So for the audio listeners, you will be able to catch up on what's going on in the trials I'm covering and the cases I'm covering, but in a shorter clip down format, so you know exactly what's happening in the cases you're following. And as always, I will link the full length episode from the live stream channel down below, but then we can bring you content, well, pretty soon it's going to be daily. So you never have to worry about missing out on the cases you care about when life gets busy, because don't I know it? It's awful when you've got that FOMO of what's happening in this case. I've got you. And that's why I've started adding in news stories that I don't get to in other coverage into Quick Bits. So no longer is it just a summary of what I've been covering. It really is its whole own thing. And thank you for making it such a success. We have a lot of people to talk about today. So first, let's go to Idaho. The Kohberger trial moved to Ada County, Idaho in their 4th district. The courthouse is located in Boise. After Judge granted the motion for change of venue, this does not come as a surprise, but the decision to move it to Ada County was made by the Supreme Court in Idaho. And in their order, the Supreme Court of Idaho said this: it is ordered that the venue for all further proceedings in this case are transferred from Latah County 2nd Judicial District to Ada County 4th Judicial District. It is further so ordered that District Judge Stephen Hippler shall be assigned to the case and may not be disqualified without cause pursuant to Idaho Criminal Rule 25A9C. That means you can't just paper the judge and get a different judge. This is the judge. There has to be a really good reason to yeet the judge. It goes on to say the defendant shall be transferred forthwith to the custody of the Ada County Sheriff pursuant to Idaho Code 19-1805. And it is further ordered that the district court clerk for Latah County shall file and serve this order upon the parties and their counsel and take any action necessary to transfer venue of this case to Ada County, dated the 12th day of September 2024. So this trial is moving to Boise. The proceedings from now on will be held in Boise. Any future dates that are set may be kept or may be vacated. I expect we will see a scheduling and status hearing pop up on calendar soon, so this judge can have a conversation with the attorneys, probably to the nature of, why is there still so much outstanding discovery issues? This case is going on 2 years old and it's supposed to be going to trial a year from now. Where are the problems? So we will be seeing a new judge and we will be bidding farewell to Judge John Judge. And from a very long trial to a surprisingly quick one, we're going to talk real quick about Nevada versus Redden. You might not know this case by name, but I covered it on Thursday on live stream. You've probably seen the viral video. Defendant Redden is a Nevada man who literally Superman leapt over the bench and grabbed the judge and then was charged for the attempted murder of the judge, other injuries to the judge, injuries to one of the sheriff's deputies who was trying to detain the defendant, and then a charge at the end there for the defendant spitting on that sheriff's deputy. This trial started in Nevada, and I covered opening statements, which were interrupted briefly during the prosecution's opening statements by somebody spamming the Zoom call with the audio of an inappropriate video. Then the judge who was attacked testified in really just sad testimony about her fear of not being able to escape from the defendant when he attacked her, and showed her the video again. We also heard from her clerk of court, who in that viral clip you saw very clearly rushing to protect the judge. His testimony was incredibly animated. And after those two witnesses, he decided to take a plea open to the court, meaning he pled to every single count he was charged with, and he pled guilty but mentally ill. There will be a sentencing hearing in November where the defendant will have to prove by a preponderance that he was mentally ill at the time of his plea. He does have a previous mental health diagnosis that came up in court during testimony. And if that is the case, then he will get additional services and appropriate housing when he is sentenced, because this case does carry a mandatory minimum prison sentence. And back to Massachusetts to talk about the Karen Read. We knew that no matter what happened, there was probably going to be an appeal of any ruling Judge Cannoni made with regard to Karen Read's motion to dismiss. When Judge Cannoni scheduled the motion to dismiss, she said, well, set the date for the oral argument. We'll set out a farther date for trial. Whatever I do will probably be appealed. Accurate. And it has been now. Karen Read's attorneys filed a 32-page appeal with the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts. And that appeal follows what I thought it would. It follows their motion to dismiss. It wasn't hard to derive. That's what they were going to do. They argue to the appellate court that the appellate court has the authority to dismiss counts 1 and 3. They argue that counts 1 and 3 should be dismissed because the jury actually rendered acquittals on that, and retrying her on those counts would violate her constitutional right against double jeopardy. They also argue that even if the counts are not to be dismissed, the defense is entitled to a further inquiry from the jury. So we see them asking the appellate court for the same remedy that they asked Judge Cannoni for, but they had to go through the process of making that motion to dismiss in front of the trial court before they could take it to the appellate court. In this appeal, they start citing case law from 1850 and then moving forward in time about how ingrained in our system a jury acquittal is, and that procedural formalities like filling out a verdict form should not prevent that fundamental constitutional right from protecting the defendant in this case. So we are now into the long process of appeals, but the attorneys for Karen Read, Alan Jackson, David Yannetti, and Michael Pabian asked for oral argument on this appeal. And if that is granted, it will be very interesting to see what the oral arguments at the appellate court are, and if they just mirror the arguments that we saw happen in front of Judge Cannoni. And speaking of Alan Jackson, we need to talk about one of his other clients for a minute. Harvey Weinstein is facing additional charges in New York. Now, Alan Jackson was one of the defense attorneys representing him in his Los Angeles trial. He did not represent him in his New York trial, and there's no indication he will do so. But this is still, for all intents and purposes, his client, because they are still appealing the Los Angeles guilty verdicts. On Thursday, September 12th, Weinstein was indicted again in New York. Remember, his convictions were overturned in New York, and then they were refiled, and the DAs there indicated they are going to retry Weinstein because the remedy on the appeal was to grant Weinstein a new trial when overturning his convictions, and I covered that in a podcast episode. This is a new indictment, but it is going to remain sealed until Weinstein is arraigned, and he has not been brought to court for arraignment yet because of his deteriorating health. On Sunday, September 8th, 2024, Weinstein was rushed into emergency open heart surgery and is not able to be brought to court because of that. So if and when he recovers from that surgery, he will be brought to court and arraigned, and then we will have a better idea of what this new indictment is, and if this new indictment will be joined with the prior indictment in New York, and that will all be tried together as part of that retrial. And keeping with the theme of old men in prison, we need to talk about Tom Girardi. Tom Girardi was convicted in Los Angeles of the thefts from his clients. He is scheduled to be sentenced on those 4 counts December 6th, 2024. But he still had that pending criminal case out of Illinois. I covered Judge Durkin's scathing order about Girardi's behavior in the civil Lion Air crash case probably 2 years ago at this point. Judge Durkin, who oversaw the Lion Air litigation, did not hold back and made it very clear that he had forwarded that case for prosecution. Tom Girardi was indicted in both California and Illinois, the Illinois case for the behavior in the Lion Air case. Tom Girardi was not the only one indicted in Illinois. Chris Camone, who's also been indicted in Los Angeles and is pending trial, which was just bumped back till January 2025. I imagine he wants to see what Girardi is going to get sentenced to and then maybe have a different conversation with the U.S. attorneys before deciding if he's going to go to trial or not. But his trial has been bumped back to January 2025. He was also indicted in Illinois, and so was Tom Girardi's son-in-law, David Lira. But what was interesting is at this pretrial conference, prosecutors indicated that they might not try Girardi in Illinois. They might actually drop the charges against him. In reporting from law.com, federal prosecutors said, quote, "We're considering whether we proceed at all with the trial against Mr. Girardi. If we were to dismiss, it wouldn't be until his sentencing and judgment are entered. We would like to kick this till after sentencing in Los Angeles, and hopefully it'll go away after that." So the judge scheduled the follow-up hearing for December 19th, 10 days after Girardi's sentencing. So when the AUSAs are saying, hopefully it'll go away after that, I think they mean hopefully this 85-year-old will get sentenced to prison and there will be no need for us to go forward with our prosecution. So I'm very curious to see what Girardi gets sentenced to and to see if federal prosecutors in Illinois choose not to proceed against him, which means they'll be left prosecuting the CFO and the son-in-law together, who will both invariably point at Girardi and say, "We had no idea what was going on. The other dude did it. Girardi did it." I'm very interested to see what happens in Illinois. And someone who narrowly escaped a criminal conviction is Justin Timberlake. But first, a thank you to this episode's sponsor. A huge thank you to today's sponsor, Green Chef. Green Chef makes your fall routine easy even when things are busy. And today's offer has two things to support you. Not only delicious meals delivered right to your door, easy to cook recipes, lots of choices. If you haven't tried any of the meals with truffle butter, trust me, do that immediately. They are all so good, and it has been a family favorite over here. Not only do they have tons of recipes, but this month they're offering you tons of classes as well. Because with ClassPass, you have access to thousands of top-rated gyms and fitness studios around the world. And for a limited time, new Green Chef subscribers will receive 50 free ClassPass credits so you can try it for yourself. It's about a month's worth of membership, so you can really see if it fits your life. So if you're ready to find out for yourself why Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well, go to greenchef.com/EmilyBakerClass for 50% off your first box plus 50 free credits with ClassPass. That's code EmilyBakerClass at greenchef.com/EmilyBakerClass. Get 50% off your first box plus 50 free ClassPass credits. So find out for yourself why Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. Let's get back to today's episode. You may remember that Justin Timberlake was arrested on suspicion of DUI and then charged with a DUI in the Hamptons. A lot of the headlines surrounded the fact that the very young officer had no idea who Justin Timberlake was, because that was the headline that was taken away from all of this. But he pled guilty to a reduced charge on September 13th, 2024. That is not uncommon in first-time DUIs where there's no vehicle collision or injuries. In fact, the Suffolk County District Attorney said, quote, "Mr. Timberlake received the same treatment as any other defendant. Justice should be applied equally to all individuals, regardless of their wealth or celebrity status." And they said that they hoped that Justin Timberlake's PSA would indicate to the broader public that no one is above the law. They also talked about the fact that Justin Timberlake has such a huge platform to the next generation, which again is funny to me given that the law enforcement officer was like, "Who?" The next generation is like, "Wait, the guy from the Trolls movie?" But that Justin Timberlake has such a large platform that him making a public service announcement could do more good than community service, paying fines and what have you, and then bringing awareness to the fact that drinking and driving is dangerous. It is an issue, that buzz driving is drunk driving, and that even one drink can land you in a DUI, which is what Justin Timberlake said was the case here. So his misdemeanor DUI was reduced to a non-criminal traffic violation, more like a traffic ticket. Again, this is not uncommon. And he was sentenced to a $500 fine with court fees and costs, 25 hours of community service, and a 90-day suspension of his license, which would have gone into effect when he was arrested on this case. Timberlake told the court that he holds himself to a very high statement, but we're going to take a minute and look at his public service announcement now. This is Justin Timberlake's public service announcement made on the courthouse steps after pleading guilty to his traffic ticket.
Even if you've had one drink, don't get behind the wheel of a car.
The pearl necklace is an interesting choice for court.
So many alternatives. Call a friend. Take an Uber. There's many travel apps. Still, take a taxi.
The trash truck just wasn't going to let him be.
But I'm hoping that whoever's watching and listening right now can learn from this mistake. I know that I certainly have. And like I said, even one drink, don't get behind the wheel of a car.
And I don't disagree with him. We're also seeing lots of discussion of DUI play out this season on Real Housewives of Orange County after Shannon Bedore's DUI. And I hope that those watching the show will again see how much it has turned her life upside down. And I don't know if we will see that going forward from Justin Timberlake or not, but I think it's always a good reminder that there are other options, and DUI can be incredibly dangerous and things can change incredibly fast. Sincerely, someone who prosecuted a lot of DUIs. And with that, law nerds, we are getting ready to head back into gavel to gavel trial coverage for Donna Adelson. Fingers crossed that jury selection takes a beat and we see opening statements when I am back in town on Monday, September 23rd. Because I've got some travel, but stay in the loop with the Law Nerd app. And you know, court always goes wild when I travel, and I will be updating you in the app first if I see things while I am traveling. And I can't wait to tell you more about what I'm up to this week. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd. For deep dives into the stories that I covered here, you can find them on my YouTube channel at The Emily D. Baker and The Emily Show podcast. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday. The podcast goes live on Wednesdays. And if you want to stay in the loop with everything I'm doing, receive the fastest notifications out there, and get more Law Nerd community, join me at lawnerdapp.com, our free app for iOS and Android.